Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with another part of What If Naruto Was in a Political Marriage. And before continuing this part, I would like to inform you guys that I have uploaded a new What If. It's called What If Naruto the Namikaze Legend, and if you haven't so, and I hope you like that series as well. And if you like that and this one, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, because that helps me a lot and keeps me motivated. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's continue our story. The Misunderstanding Part 2, Chapter 16. Ha! 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 Naruto was going through his new kata for Kenjutsu and rapidly excelling whenever he went through a particular stroke. It had been 5 days since he woke up in Kumo, meaning that he'd be leaving the next day. He was going to miss his new friends/instructors, Team B. It was really fun hanging around them, but at least he was going to be able to see them again in a month. Ha! 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 Naruto's shirt was off, and every time he swung his sword, little droplets of sweat would glance off his frame. Our favorite blonde-haired Jinchuriki caught slight movement in the corner of his eye and turned just a little to look at its source, Samui, who had been the source of the movement and was looking at him from out of earshot, quickly averted her gaze from his frame. His time spent with B's team had been a lot of fun for him, and he even picked up on their quirks, from Karui's slight irascibility to Amoi's overthinking attitude to Samui's always cool and calm demeanor, and of course B's rapping. That fucking rapping. Karui noticed Samui's position and with a smirk on her face went to join her in a conversation. Naruto looked away and continued his kata movements. Amoi and B were sparring from just out of his sight. It had astounded him when the rapping Jinchuriki and his student first sparred in front of him. B and produced 7 smaller blades and held them at strategic points all over his body. He then proceeded to fight all 3 of them at the same time. It didn't look so much like a fight as a dance. B weaved through his swings, parrying, blocking and striking all with expertise. That fighting had shown Naruto the true gulf between Jonin and Genin. Ha! 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 Naruto continued his movements. He really liked the katana, which surprised him. He had always figured himself out to be a brawler type ninja, one who could take and deal punishments all in order to delay or beat down the enemy. But with the non-stop Kenjutsu training over the week that he had been there, he had really taken a liking to the sword arts. It just felt comfortable to him. Of course, he was of no threat to any of the Genin team when dealing with strictly Kenjutsu. A week of hard training still could never come close to years of training and experience with swords. Kenjutsu is a part of a curriculum of the academy in Kumo. He quickly found out, but he could still feel himself improving with the sword, which he liked a lot. After all, he would need all the strength he could get in order to protect all the people precious to him, from the likes of Akatsuki or Orochimaru, and he would get Sasuke back to Konoha willingly or not. Ha! 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 He continued his training. Samui finished her conversation with Karui and with a slight blush on her face walked forward to him. He found great pleasure in talking with her over their time training together. He would probably attribute it to how her personality always dictated a cold and concise response, so he would always try to get either an emotional or an intellectual raise out of her. He wasn't very successful, but it was still fun seeing her respond to his prodding. He lowered his sword as Samui got close to him. "Hey Samui, what's up?" he asked, still dripping slightly with perspiration. She was finding it difficult to meet his eyes, so she drew them downwards and to the side. "If you would like to," she said with a strong resolve. "Would you accompany me for some dinner?" "Yeah, sure," Naruto said wearily. He had never seen Samui with any sign of a lack of confidence. Failure to create eye contact was one show of unconfident behavior. "Okay then, when and where can I pick you up?" She was the citizen. She knew the area better and thus knew which restaurants were good, so she was going to be the one to pick him up. He told her the address, and after memorizing it, she walked confidently back to Karui, who raised her hand for a high five. Samui, in another show of uncharacteristic behavior, tentatively raised her hand to meet Karui's. What was that about? Naruto asked mentally. Link break. Yujito's apartment. Naruto was having a slight dilemma. Namely, he still couldn't find his favorite orange jacket. After Naruto and Yujito woke up with the day after the whole sleepwalk snafu, a shinobi said that the Raikage needed her for a mission. Apparently, it was a long-term mission, so she was still gone after 4 days. But what was strange was that Naruto couldn't find his jacket anywhere after she left. It was just there one moment and then poof, he couldn't find it. It was 5:50. He told Samui to pick him up at 6. Naruto sighed and walked back to the room that he shared with Yujito. After heavy-duty Kenjutsu training, all of his t-shirts had been basically turned into sweat rags. So the one thing that he had left was his one dress shirt, which was colored white. Luckily enough, his orange pants were in prime condition for an evening out. Naruto had to ponder the reason for his marriage for the umpteenth time. Again, Purvis said that the whole reason for this marriage was to show how Leaf and the other nations could stay together by using me and my wives as a symbol to be looked upon by the citizens of our nation. Naruto thought out logically. So why is it that Yujito is sent on a long mission the day after I wake up? He sighed in confusion. This doesn't make any sense. The doorbell rang out and Naruto quickly went to open the door to Samui. Good evening, she said in her cold tone. She was wearing a normal purple blouse and a navy blue skirt that went down just above her knees. There was a slight dusting of makeup on her face. In shinobi terms, she was really dressed up for a night out. This made Naruto feel slightly better about his own choice of semi-formal clothing. He gave her a big foxy grin and stepped outside with her. Hey Samui, he said with a cheerful demeanor. So where do you want to go to eat? She looked off to the distance and responded with an airy tone. There's this place that I've always wanted to eat at. She began to walk off with Naruto following next to her. Great, so where is this place? Naruto asked excitedly. He hadn't been able to hang out with his friends for a while, except for when they were training, and he didn't really count that as hanging out. So with his extroverted personality, he was really craving some interaction with their newfound friends. It's a bit of a walk, she replied wisely. So why don't we run? He asked. They were ninja after all. Walking wasn't really something done all that often. She glanced down at her feet. She was in high heels. It's not that cool to ask a lady to run in high heels, she replied cheekily. Naruto blushed in embarrassment. Sorry, I didn't notice that you were wearing them. So they were walking to get the food, which was a ways away, while wearing formal wear, and Samui was being uncharacteristically cheerful, or at least cheerful for her. When she asked him to get dinner with her, she didn't mention anything about anyone else coming with them, and she seemed kind of embarrassed when doing so. All of the things suddenly occurred to Naruto. His eyes went wide with realization. Is this a date? Naruto brushed off this notion as soon as it came to him. She wouldn't ask him out on a date. She knew that he was the one who was in an arranged marriage with Yujito, right? Everything's probably just a coincidence. Naruto looked at Samui and tried to come up with a unique topics of conversation but failed. So, what do you like most about Kumo? Naruto finally came up with. She looked up at the sky. The people, she said plainly. The people? Naruto wasn't expecting that answer. With Samui's cold attitude towards just about everything, he suspected that the people would be the bottom of her list of likes. Yes, she looked around her, at the people surrounding them on the streets. I like them. They are all just happy, and I like that, she said with a slight melancholic smile on her face. I don't know what that word means. You can Google it. Now on to our story. So you're saying that you're happy because they're happy, Naruto ventured. Samui was silent for a moment. Yes, I'm happy when they're happy. Naruto walked alongside her in silence for a moment, pondering. Naruto loved Konoha. It was his home, of course. He loved it. However, when he thought of the people that made up Konoha, it didn't fill him up with happiness. He remembered all the stares, all the whispers about him. He remembered that the parents of the kids that he played with as a child would always warn their children not to play with him. He remembered being alone, while swinging dourly on the academy swing, sat looking at the people of Konoha with envy. They were happy, but that didn't make him happy. Samui noticed his face, which was scrunched up in thought. "Are you okay?" she asked with some concern. Naruto broke out of his funk and gave her a foxy smile. "Yeah, I'm fine." Samui looked on, not believing him. "You sure?" "Yes," Naruto said, wishing that she would drop it. She looked dubiously at him, but decided not to pray any further. "So what do you like about Konoha?" she asked. Naruto thought in a silence for a bit. "The people who are precious to me." "The same as me?" Naruto found it difficult to articulate how they were different. "No, just the ones that I like." Naruto inwardly cringed. That sounded extremely shallow, even to his normal denseness. "Wait, like that? It's just I didn't have a lot of friends as a kid. So when everyone around me was happy, I didn't feel happy because I was alone." This got Samu's attention. "So when I finally did get some people that liked me, I guess that I just latched on to them." Samui was silent for a moment. "So you live because of other people?" "Yes," Naruto said with great resolve. "That's kind of stupid," Samui said with a straight face. That drew a little bit of Naruto's eerie. "What? Don't you do the same thing?" "I'm happy because the people are happy, but I don't live for them. I live for myself." Naruto was a loss of words. "Huh? What about your teammates? What about them?" "Well, wouldn't you fight for them?" "Of course I would. They're my teammates." But Naruto totally didn't know how to respond to her. Samui sighed. "I don't live for them, because if they die, then I wouldn't have anything to live for." Solid logic. However, that almost directly contradicted his belief. "The reason that I have to get stronger," Naruto said, "is to protect the people precious to me." Samui looked at him strangely. "You don't get stronger for the village or its people?" Naruto was having a lot of his convictions called into questions, which he didn't really like. "No, I fight for the people." "Wrong, you fight for your people," she said accusingly. "That's right, I fight for the people close to me. But what happened if they die?" she asked with a serious expression on her face. "They're ninjas. They experienced death. Death of the ones closest to a person who was a ninja was almost unavoidable. But they won't die, because I'm going to get stronger to protect them," Naruto said, resolutely believing that he had won the argument. "So, on every mission, on every outing, on every chance that they might be in slightest danger, you'll be there for them, to protect them?" Naruto was silent in thought for a while. "No. What if they die? I don't know." Naruto was feeling really conflicted all of a sudden. "But what else can I do? I'm always going to fight for them, to my dying breath. And as will I. But I acknowledge that sometimes my friends will die. That's just how life is. People live and people die. You can't be strong enough to protect them all. And even if you were strong enough to protect them all, if the only things that you do is protect them, then that denotes that you don't have any faith in their abilities." Naruto remembered Yujito's story about how her friends were killed, about how the third was killed. It was true, sometimes people die and you can't do anything to change that. But then he remembered his and his wife's oath in the hospital to get stronger and protect each other. Naruto shook his head. "I live for my friends, because if I didn't, I couldn't live with myself." Samui nodded appreciatively. "That's stupid." Naruto looked at her aggravated. "But it's also kind of cool." His expression cheered up. "Thanks," he said. She looked at him in confusion. "For what?" Naruto looked wistful. "I don't know, I guess. Thanks for making me think." "You don't do that very often, do you?" Naruto stuck his tongue out at her and she giggled in it. They spent the rest of the walk to the restaurant in relative silence. When they arrived, Naruto felt his mouth go dry. The inside had probably the fanciest atmosphere that he had ever seen in his life. It had a decent feel to it, and he noticed that all the meals looked very good, but had little of any substance to them. He felt really underdressed in his dress shirt and track pants, although The restaurant looked decent and nice and splendid. It was only about halfway full. A server walked up to the two shinobis and greeted them. "Welcome to the Lightning Flash. How may I serve you?" "A table for two, please," Samui said readily. The server walked them towards a window table. After being seated, Naruto commented, "I've never been anywhere so fancy." "Neither have I," Samui stated. "My brother always talks about how he takes his girlfriend here, and I wanted to see what it was like as well, but I needed someone to take me with." She finished with a light smile. Naruto inwardly sighed in relief. So it wasn't a date. She was just curious about the restaurant. Huh. Phew. Naruto wasn't the best at picking up social cues, especially not when they actually have to do something with romance. This could easily be explained by the fact that he didn't even have many people that he could confide in for help, as well as the fact that he had never been sought out as a romantic pursuit and didn't have any idea what it would look and feel like. That being said, it was extremely dense of him to not notice that Samui was into him, and he had asked him out on a date, even as he was on the date with her. Naruto asked her about herself. She recounted her life story and with a nary sad expression and countenance. When she was really young, her parents had died, leaving her and her brother in an orphanage. Her brother Atsui decided to become a ninja, so he got the Orphan Ninja Protection Plan, which was customary in all the major ninja villages. The package included a small apartment to live in, as well as a village stipend for the ninja in question to live off of. He took Samui in with him when he relocated to the said apartment, and she resolved to become a ninja just like him, to take some of the burden off him. She turned out to be a really good one and rose to the top of the leaderboards in the academy. After graduating at top shinobi, she was placed on a team with Amoy, Karui, and B. And she was recounting her tale. The waiter showed up and took their orders. That's kind of a sad story, Naruto said in a dour tone. "It's not that bad. I have my brother. Even if he's kind of a hothead. I have my teammates and I have my sensei," she replied coolly. Naruto's visage brightened up. "Yeah, if you have people that you love around you, nobody could be unhappy." Samui smiled at him at this. "Yeah, I guess. What about you? What's your story?" she clarified. "Well, I was born an orphan. There was nobody there for me when I was a kid, so I kind of turned into a screw-up. But on the day that I graduated from the academy, my teacher showed that I meant a lot to him, and he became my first precious person." Naruto didn't know if his status as a Jinchuriki was still confidential. The topic had never come up when the training with B and his teammates, and he never brought it up for fear that it might still be a village secret. So he decided to opt that part out of his story. "After that, I met my team. They're all really nice. Kakashi's really lazy and a horrible teacher. Sakura's really nice and always tries her best. Sasuke's kind of a dick." Naruto trailed off on his mention of Sasuke. "We went a lot on missions together, but then I became a emissary." Naruto still thought that emissary meant a person who was pushed into arranged political marriage. Then Sasuke abandoned the leaf and I made a promise to get him back to Konoha. After that, I started my training circuit and now I'm here. Naruto finished off with a smile. "Why did Sasuke leave?" Samui asked. I don't really know. He said that massacre. Samui's eyes widened. "You were on a team with last Uchiha?" Naruto had a sad expression on his face. "Yeah, he was kind of a dick, but I felt like he was the only person who knew how it felt to be alone. I've always wanted to be his friend. I'm sorry for your loss." Naruto put up his biggest and greatest smile. "Nope, I don't accept your sympathy because I'm going to get him back." Samui looked at him doubtful. "What if he doesn't want to come back? Then I'll just have to break his arms and his legs and drag him back all the way." Samui's eyes rose. "You're quite the determined guy, aren't you?" "Of course, never give up. That's my shinobi way." Naruto gave her a thumbs up and a foxy grin. "Never give up, huh? That's quite the way of the shinobi. It's the most awesome there is." Meanwhile, they were being spied upon by the two inquisitive Kumo shinobi at tables opposite to them. I still really don't feel comfortable doing this, Amoy said for the upteenth time that outing. Shut up! Karui hushed. Just think about how much we get to rub this in her face when it's over. But what she finds out that we've been spying on her date? She won't, Karui responded in an aggravated tone. If they hit it off, they could get more serious, then wanted to get married. But since we're from different nations, Kumo won't let it happen, and Samui would kill herself out of grief, Amoy said, ramping up the absurdity of the situation with every passing word out of his mouth. Karui looked at Amoy incredulously. Are you mentally impaired? They're already a political marriage with us. Yuichiro got married for fuck's sake. Of course they would allow one with Naruto and Samui. It dawned on her that she had rode along with Amoy's train of thoughts. And that's never going to happen, dumbass. You saw that now, Amoy said in an anonymous tone. Karui was getting sick of his logic. Stop overthinking everything, you sad sack of a shit. The table that they were supposed to be spying on suddenly burst into a quiet laughter. Apparently Naruto made a joke that he found extremely funny, and Samui as well, considering how she was covering her mouth with her hand and shaking in amusement. God, I've never seen her like this, Karui commented. You think she's okay? Samui asked. Of course she is. She's just really into him, I guess. Both of their tables got their food simultaneously. They both got the foods at the end while tasting good. Took up only about a 16th of the entirety of the plate. It was ridiculous. I'm never eating here again, Amoy said, silently crying while looking into his wallet. We're going to split the check, he said resolutely. What? You're the guy. You're going to pay for the lady. A sweat drop rolled down Amoy's head. First of all, I don't have enough money for both of us. Second of all, there is a list of requirements that you have to fulfill before you could be considered a lady, and you don't fill any of them. A tick mark appeared on Karui's head. Is that so, shithead? The sweat dropped again, enlarged on Amoy's head. Luckily for them, before they made the scene that they were about to make, Naruto and Samui both exited the restaurant, saving them from Samui's silent and cold wrath. With Naruto paying for the both of them, of course, he had way too much money to even think about letting her pay as well. Just as they left, the restaurant turned into a battleground of Karui trying to violently castrate Amoy and him trying to desperately to fend her off. The walk to Naruto's place was surprisingly uneventful, and despite some of the heavier conversation material, they both had a lot of fun on their date. Samui walked Naruto up to the door. I had a really good time, she said. Yes, so did I, Naruto said with a grin. We should do this again sometime, Samui said confidently. Oh, well, I have to leave tomorrow, Naruto trailed off. But you'll be coming back? Yeah, I'll always come back here to train. Naruto closed his eye and smiled. While his eyes were closed, Samui decided to take her chance and close the distance between them to place a chaste kiss on his smiling lips. With the most perfect timing in the world, Yuichiro opened the door to her apartment just to see Samui kiss Naruto. Samui backed away from him in surprise, and Naruto was shocked into momentary paralysis. Samui, Yuichiro? They both asked each other at the same time. What are you doing at Naruto's apartment? Samui asked accusingly. His apartment? This is my apartment. And why are you two kissing on my front doorstep? Naruto broke out of his revive. Samui, why did you do that? He asked. Well, that's what you do after you go on a date, she responded plainly. So this was a date? Of course it was. What do you think it was? Friendly get-together between newfound comrades? Both Samui and Yuichiro looked at him as if he was in actuality mentally handicapped. Anyways, we can't date. Why not? Samui asked exasperately. Because I'm married. A few things clicked in Samui's mind, namely the scene that Yuichiro made with Naruto on his first day training with them, along with the fact that he seemed to be sharing a living area with him. Samui blushed in extreme embarrassment. Oh, I see. I'm sorry to have troubled both of you. Good night. And with that, she turned around and walked off quickly. Samui! Naruto called out, made to go after her, but was held in place by Yuichiro. Looking up to her for an explanation, he received her saying, "Let her go, she needs some time to think." Naruto watched her stalk off in the direction of, he presumed, her house in complete and utter silence. "Hey Yujito." "Yeah? What's an emissary?" "A person sent from one nation to hold diplomatic relations to another." "So, not a person who was forced into a political marriage?" Yujito looked at him strangely. "Nope." He was silent for a few moments. "Hey Yujito." "Yeah?" "When did you get back here?" "About 30 minutes ago." Naruto was silent for a few more moments. "Hey Yujito." "Yeah?" "I think I fucked up." They were both silent for an amount of time. She pulled him inside, scolded out, "You'll get a fever." Naruto didn't make any sign of resistance against her. After he was in the living room, she went into her room to get ready for bed. He looked at the clock. It was 9 already. Walking took a lot longer than he thought it would. Had he really spent 3 hours on his date with her? It was kind of late. He looked at the table in the kitchen. On it was her equipment that she had taken with her on her mission. What really attracted his attention, however, was the adolescent-sized hugging pillow in the center of the equipment that had Naruto's orange jacket zipped up on it in the middle and a curled drawing of his face on the top of it. Yujito walked back out of her room, seeing Naruto stare at her Naruto hugging pillow. The only explanation that she had to offer was, "I wouldn't have been able to sleep otherwise." Naruto nodded numbly. He didn't really care at this point. He just wanted to go to sleep and forget that the day had ever happened. So after climbing into the bed with Yujito, that exactly what he did. As this is where I'm going to leave this part of, guys. I hope you like this one, and also make sure you check out the other series that I started. What If Naruto the Namikaze Legend. It's not going to be a neglected series, and Minato Kushina are going to be alive, and Naruto is going to be a prodigy in that one. And sorry for the stutter in this one, as well as I told you in multiple times in my other what ifs that English is not my first language, and I'm trying to improve it through this as well. So yeah, this is Apollo Chia, and I'm signing out. Peace.